I am the contrarian, and this is my world.
Hi, this is Punacha Machaya, and I'm on The Contrarian to talk to Rajiv about my perspective on how startups need to have a blue ocean strategy to create ideas which are new world and driven by passion, hunger and drive, a PhD.
Is the bubble going to burst again? So one of the classic stories in the world of business is always to talk about the 2000 or the 1999 internet bubble that burst. Are we again exactly at that same place? For most people, the euphoria and everything else around us about the internet, about e-commerce, about the amount of business and money being poured into companies would make me feel like a fool when I'm saying this. Most of you must be thinking, what is he talking about? What bubble is about to burst? This is the best time ever for the net. Well, I'm here to say maybe not. And joining me is a guest who also has some very, very similar feelings, but in a very different way. So first, let's get down to your favorite pet topic, which is Indian startups. Right. So what's the state of Indian startups? Why are you a little disappointed with what India and tech startups have done? Why such strong feelings or strong negative feelings about it?
I think I would say I have feelings. I think the most fundamental thing here is that I believe that a country the size of India, 1.2 billion people, 600 million under the age of 25, the youth of India, if you have to go all in, now is the best time in the world, right? Okay. Because you don't need to have a safe zone. So you can actually go out there and create blue ocean strategies, new market, new business model, and really take on the rest of the world. I think fundamentally we had startups which only looked at US-centric solutions. Today, being in India, the world is your oyster, and I believe you're playing it safe.
So why is that? What are some of the reasons that you would attribute to the fact that we seem to be in maybe first gear even now? We're not smoothly coasting down the information highway.
Two, I think, is education and fear of failure. I think we still believe in a very rote education. I believe today we are still very much based on success. Every month, passing your exam. It's not this kind of person who can really think out of the box and say, you know what, I believe in changing the world, and by the way, I'm going all in, right? Okay. It is the people who are crazy, like Steve Jobs said, are the ones who actually change the world. But being crazy is probably the hardest thing to do. So until we are actually going to be crazy or 100% mad about following a passion, I think the schools today have to teach PhD. Not ICSE, and PhD is passion, hunger, and drive.
So tell me, so the interesting thing that you're saying is that we've looked at more the micro view of Indian tech startups. Let's just broaden our horizon a little bit more. Do you see a lot of this happening worldwide, what you're talking about?
I think if I look at the Valley, you can actually go in with a crazy idea, right? And there's somebody out there who's willing to even give you a chance, $50,000, $100,000, go do it. And with no expectations, right? And what that does, it really starts building up an ecosystem, and because they invest in the person. Second thing which I find very interesting is that people over there also talk about the ideas a lot to people, and they kind of work out the business plan. And here I meet a lot of entrepreneurs who come and talk to me and say, you know what, before I talk to you, I'm kind of worried about sharing my ideas. And I'm saying, you're having a cup of coffee with me. If you're worried about sharing my idea and I'm going to take it over a cup of coffee, it's definitely a bad idea. Let's not have coffee then. Do something else, right? Okay. So I think this ability to kind of create an ecosystem, ability to kind of, really rip your idea apart, saying the baby is ugly, and that ecosystem I think is very vibrant, right?
Okay, now let's talk about the one thing that shades and little rumors and little puffs of smoke have now been seen all over the horizon. And that is what I started off with. Are we near another bubble? And let's just try to define it from the little rumors that are here. Right. One, it's very typical of what happened last time when very good money chased very bad ideas. Right. Number two, a lot of conventional wisdom industries started getting into the kind of business that is online and it's e-commerce and things which they have very less knowledge about. And the third is that the acquisition business has gone completely haywire. Do all these kind of give you the same feeling because some valuations are really silly now?
I think the first part of it, I think there is a little bit of this deal flow business going on, right? The venture capitalists are saying, I need to increase my deal flow, right? And the deal flow in India seems to be great. And there is this kind of the social behavior which is now coming in.
Can you define deal flow for those that don't really know and don't come from your part of the world?
So people say, you know what, being a venture firm, I need to have X amount of companies I'm actively investing in. And I'm being measured now. But if I give you $1 million, which company did you invest in? If you don't have invested, that means you're not doing your job right. So now it's a quota business, right? As a sales guy, you got to get your sales quota. And I believe there's a little bit of that going on, saying that there's a deal flow. And two, we're saying, okay, we saw some big person making a mark and investment in this thing, so must be good. Must have done their homework.
Correct.
And
So
now there's this kind of, let me just follow this thing. And before you know, it's like this deck of cards. Right? And I believe there are certain sectors today, it's kind of really, really hot and kind of maybe a little bit overdone, right? Because I think how much more innovation can you have in a certain sector, right?
So you want to name one or two that you think are kind of starting to bleed?
I think online e-commerce, I think it's getting very cannibalistic, right? Because I think, I believe when you look at business plans, we still look at this whole, this SWOT analysis, strength, weakness, opportunity, threat, comes from very much a military. Maybe we started it, Arthashastra, you know? And I think we were the gods of strategy, and then Sun Tzu, right? And I think it's always like defeat, decimate, destroy. Defeat your customer, you know, destroy them and decimate it, right? And there's always this new business model which is coming up to do that. And if you follow that approach, I'm figuring out what's left. And like I said, somebody can come up with deep pockets and completely take you out from left side, right? And that could be one of our challenges.
But a lot of people do say that the e-commerce online buying, if that goes bust, even if there's one of the big guys that go, the domino effect could be almost fatal, because it'll suck out the vacuum, it'll suck out the bad money and the good money, it'll suck out all those people that are so euphoric, and it could suddenly just dry up everything, even for great ideas. So could that happen? I mean, that's what happened last time.
Yeah, and that's my fear. When I talked about the first thing, saying that we are people looking at outcome and looking at ROI completely. Now, if that was my only motive, yes, I'm going to pull back. I don't trust it anymore, right? So that's why we need a bit of diversity. Even in our investors, we need diversity. People looking at portfolio, and yeah, there is the fear of that happening.
Let's close this with two things. The first is, if there is a bubble burst, would it be predominantly the e-commerce area, or does it even hit those people that are there only for, I get so many hits and therefore that is my business model?
I think the online eyeballs, you know, customer acquisition, valuation based on just pure traction, you know, and not actually retention, engagement, I think those businesses will take a hit. Anything online, which is purely based on, you know, number of eyeballs, you know, just not looking at, I would say, the value of the business, right? Those will take a hit. And it could be media. It could be internet-based businesses. It could be basically the next online, I would say, movie portal or whatever, right? Which is completely based on just aggregating customers, right? Those will take a hit.
Okay, those good. And what would you say, let's use this opportunity to go out on an optimistic note now that we've got all the pessimism out of the way. If there must be thousands of very young people with great ideas watching you right now, with the fact that they are thrown these statistics, 3 out of 4 companies that start off online fail, the same numbers for VC funding or angel investors who actually put in money, 3 out of 4 don't make any money for them, one of them might just kind of make it back, and then there'll be that one miracle one that will make it all good for all of it. For them it's a great business, but for the guys who are failing 3 out of 4 may not be a great time. So when you're talking about this is the best time to go all in, can you give them 1 or 2 tips right now, saying, think about it this way, this is what you should be looking at, not an idea, I mean, I'm sure that's what they need to come up with. Anything that they need to really get into their mind to make sure that this could be something that gets them that last surge to just fence sitters, basically. Can you push them?
So I think if you forget about online for a second and they start looking at what are allied industries, consumer goods, right? You look at the health and wellness, you look at travel, you look at agriculture, look at the problems in the world today, right? The world today is challenged with obesity, lifestyle disorders. It is 1 in 20 searches on Google is health and wellness, right? Why do you care about an online shopping experience when you really see that out of 3 billion searches, 1 in 20 is health and wellness? So maybe the guy sitting down in Kanpur has to think about how to make the world, you know, look at this industry. So I think the multiple allied industries where the same tech competency can be used very well. The same principles, right? The same business model, you know, but put it on different verticals.
Okay, so you're saying use the power of being online or the net, but think a little different from just selling a person a phone.
Exactly. Just instead of retail, move into different sectors.
Okay,
right?
so I'm going to ask you the final question before we go away and say goodbye to you. So will the bubble burst?
I think there will be a burst. You know?
Okay.
I think so.
I thought you might have a more qualified answer. So you're actually saying, it will?
I think there will be definitely a burst in the tech sector, but it'll be, I think, absorbed in different other industry, allied industry. But if you're looking at pure e-commerce, there will be, I think, definitely a challenge.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much. Great talking to you.
Thank you.
And I'm sure we should have you back. You have a very interesting new portal coming up with Deepak Chopra. So I think in a week or two, I need to have you back and we'll talk about that entire thing. And is that a whole new different model, or again, are we barking up the wrong tree? So I've got to find out about that. So the bubble will burst. I mean, I thought I'll come back with better news for you, but it's not the bubble will burst. But I think the most encouraging thing that we've learned here today is the fact that the bubble will burst. It might just get absorbed, but there's so much more you can think about. That is not just about selling a product at a subsidized price. That seems to be all the internet business everybody seems to be doing right now and funding right now. So we'll see you next week right here on The Contrary.
I am the contrarian, and this is my world.